Hi, thanks for joining me. This video will be discussing LMIA, which stands for Labor Market Impact Assessment. One of those big applications that every employer hates and every employee doesn't want to approach their employer to do. It's one of those applications that when a client contacts me, they're terrified. They're like, oh my God, it's an impossible application. Believe it or not, LMIA applications are actually one of my favorite applications to do. And I have the highest success in an LMIA application. So long as you do it right, most officers do wish to approve this type of application. Why? Because we need workers in Canada. And so it's your job, it's the employer's job, and it's my job to demonstrate to Service Canada that this position is in high demand and it's not readily available to Canadians. So allow me to hire this foreign worker so that I can continue to successfully operate my business. And so why would an officer say no? Usually the officer says no to this type of application because the applicant or the employer simply didn't do it right. And so how do you make sure you do it right? Besides calling me. You have to ensure that the postings, the position that is posted, that Canadians view is dead on accurate. That's where many people make a mistake. They post the position the way that they would reach out to a Canadian. There are different requirements. For example, if you want to hire someone in Canada, all you have to ensure is that you posted minimum wage or above, and that you don't discriminate based on age, religion, and so forth. But that's not the minimum requirements when you want to hire a foreign worker. A common mistake is people say, oh, but my business is a restaurant and I have Portuguese-speaking clients, I need a Portuguese employee. Wrong, because right there you got it denied. Under Service Canada rules, you cannot discriminate based on language because Canada has two official languages, English and French. And so by you saying Portuguese, you just cut down on all the Canadians here that could have potentially, you could have hired them and they could have done the job. So it's important that you post the position accurately. So that's the number one. The second thing is that posting has to continue until the decision is made. Many read the Service Canada website and say, oh, I only have an obligation to post it for 4 weeks. I posted it, great, I take it down. Again, wrong answer. After 4 weeks, you are eligible to submit the application to Service Canada. But until Service Canada has not made their decision on your application, it is the employer's job to continue to seek a Canadian. And so while it's in process, that posting has to be active. You actively still have to interview and look out to see if a Canadian could do the job. And there's other common mistakes that we can discuss should you give me a call, but advertising and posting is the key. The process is 2 steps. One is employer specific. So LMIA has everything to do with the employer and barely anything to do with the applicant. We will need the corporate documents, we will need your last year's financial documents to demonstrate that you can afford the salary. The prevailing wage is different than if you hire a Canadian. It's usually higher. So if you want to hire someone in a NOC B, you're most likely looking at a $26 per hour wage versus if you hire a Canadian, you can get away with minimum wage. These are the things that are very highly focused on when you do an LMIA application. Once it's submitted, it takes about 2 months for Service Canada to render a decision after the officer calls the employer and does an interview to kind of confirm all the information. As I said, we have a very high success rate with LMIAs. Once the LMIA is approved, then you take that document and you give it to the applicant, and that's where it rolls into the second stage, which is employee specific. That's where the employee takes that document, submits it to the consulate of their citizenship or where they have legal status, and a work permit application is made. And that employee has to now demonstrate that they are the right person with the right credentials, with the right, education and etc. for this position. So it is a 2-step process, and you need both to successfully enter Canada. If you have any questions about LMIA, I'm here to help. Until next time.